Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Origen Live Stream Concert Series. This week, we're joined by the amazing singer, multi-instrumentalist, and electronic artist, Sofía Rei. Welcome, Sofia.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us to another week of our series. Thank you, Kavita, and I'm very glad to finally be able to show you a little bit of what I have been doing, not only during this beautiful pandemic, but just in general for a few years now. So I made a bit of a selection of songs for this concert. Most of them I just I'm just playing them from home by myself, but I feel that I got a little ahead of myself in training solo for this crazy moment where we cannot be in the same room with other musicians, because I started experimenting with loops and electronic devices so that I could actually do solo concerts. And a few years back, I started doing that. And it proved to be very lonely. So I do not recommend it after the pandemic. Please, everybody, let's just go back to play in a room with other humans. I miss that very, very much. But the good part of it is that most of the songs that I'll play today were built from my vocals using a few different devices to process sound and to record myself live. And what I did is that I sampled some of my friends, bass players and drummers, and also collected samples that we've previously used for some of the recordings of this music, so that I could bring my favorite musicians into my living room so that we could somehow virtually play together.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I can relate to what you're saying about this time when we are using all these skills that maybe we've amassed on our own. In my case, I'm at the beginning of we've talked, you and I about this, I'm at the beginning of this process and search. And it's been nice also to go inside, and maybe I wouldn't have had the chance to focus more on solo
Exactly.
if not for this time. So anyway, we're very excited to hear all this new music you have. And I understand we're going to be hearing tonight about music from a new project of yours. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yes. Well, it started actually a few years ago. So the project itself is not brand new. What's new is now we are in a new phase of it. So the project is called Umbral, and it started a few years ago, actually after a short trip to, well, not that short, to the Elqui Valley in Chile. I wanted to take a bit of a break, and I heard of this place. I heard that it had this magical qualities. A lot of people go there to actually watch the stars and see UFOs and get inspired. And the first 3 days, I was like a little bit lost. I was like, so what? How I made all this crazy trip, 2 flights and 6 hours on a bus, and I'm in Chile, somewhere in the middle of the mountains. And then the mountains really captured me, and I was like, okay, now I get it. I understand there is some kind of magnetic component to it that was very special. And I wrote a lot of these songs then. One of them based on a poem by a wonderful writer, Gabriela Mistral, that was actually the first Latin American to win a Nobel Prize in literature. So she's amazing, and she was amazing. And she was from a town right next to where I was. So a lot of her poetry was inspired by this landscape that I was contemplating. And one of her poems that inspired one of the songs of the project is called La Otra, the other woman. And I was a little bit on that process of feeling, okay, I'm kind of, having like a rebirth of sorts. I am becoming somebody new, or that's what I wanted to do. And kind of like the final words of it is, I kill one one of my multiple me's, and I didn't love her anymore. And I felt that the description of the environment, the cactuses, the sun, the mountains, and this transformation, everything was perfect to what I was seeing and what I was experimenting. So that's one of them. And the other
that sounds really actually parallel to this time and to what you're talking about of working solo and kind of going within, but finding these inspirations from outside. It's almost like you had that similar journey in Chile, where
yes.
you're disoriented and then you kind of have this experience where you really go deep. And
yes.
So we're going to hear La Otra and one more song right now, right?
And one more song. The other song is called Un Mismo Cielo, The Same Sky. And this song actually is very old, and I never recorded it. And it went through multiple transformations, and now I took a few samples to, you'll see, make it a little bit more cohesive and solid. And what I like about this looping, sometimes a little bit stressful because things can go wrong, but at the same time, there is also this open possibility of improvising or coming up with something new and record it in the moment, and then kind of take it to a different place. And it's just you, so you don't have to negotiate with anybody else. So that's a good part. But yeah, these are basically new versions of these two songs. So let's see how they go.
Great, let's hear them.
Tingay katkare, tingay katkature, tingay katkare, tingay katkature, tingay katkare, tingay katkature, tingay katkare, katkature, tingay katkare, katkature. Mismo cielo nos ve a los dos, mismo cielo katkare. Mismo cielo nos ve a los dos, mismo cielo cascaré. Mismo cielo nos ve a los dos, mismo cielo cascaré. ¿Quién sabe cuándo te vuelva a ver? ¿Quién sabe cuándo? Era la flor llameando del cactus de montaña. Pero heridas y fuego nunca se refrescaban. Piedra y cielo tenía pies y espaldas. Y no bajaba nunca a buscar ojos de agua. Donde hacia su siesta las hierbas se enroscaban y al aliento de su boca y brasa de su cara doblarse la sabina, la planta de montaña y al costado de ella yo me doblaba.
Muriese robándole mientras se acabó como el águila que no es alimentada.
Por ella todavía me gimen sus armonías y las grietas de fuego al pasar me desgarran. Cruzando yo les digo buscad por las quebradas y haced con las arcillas otra águila abrazada. Si no podéis entonces, si no podéis. Si no podéis, entonces, si no podéis, si no podéis, yo la maté y vosotras, yo la maté.
So we are joined now by a very special guest who is Sofia's producer on this next album, Umbral, and her longtime collaborator, JC Maillard. JC, welcome to the Ori-Gen live stream.
Thank you. Hi, nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you too.
I love your background, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm
so
going
what
to
you're
pick
seeing
one
right now
of
is
those shirts.
That's a very COVID-19 kind of background.
Yeah.
This is
you
my,
know, it's much
for
better than
this
the
time,
keyboard
this
and
is
all
my
that.
recording booth, and it's perfect because all of this is doing great job with the sound, and this is my little COVID-19 studio.
And there's lots of colors. You can express your personality. But can you tell us a little bit about the production for Umbral and this project? You've worked together for many, many years. So what's different about this project, your work together?
Yeah, so we've experimented a whole lot of different stuff so far, but there was still one thing that we wanted to do for a long time, which was bringing electronic music elements into what we're doing, but in a way that made sense to us, which is we really wanted to be groove oriented, and we've always had this perception that a lot of the very specific grooves found in South American music are completely absent from the electronic music repertoire, and we really wanted to focus on that, and it's a multi thing behind this, because it's also a way to give a voice to some elements of traditional music through the sound of electronic music. So it was very special in this way, and it brought us into a whole lot of experimentations that are pretty interesting in the end.
And you're going to share a little bit of the process with us. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm. We can talk for hours, but there's nothing better than showing little sound examples of the things we came up with in some of these songs.
Take it away.
All right. So, baby. So I think you guys heard this song called La Otra. Most of this song started with the experimentation of Sofia with her vocals and looping and everything, and in some cases we went even further with these looping vocals, but the interesting thing is we really wanted for each of these songs to find some specific grooves from South America. So for example, in that song La Otra, we used a percussion groove called cerecese. Sofia, maybe you can tell
Cerecese.
better
Go
than
ahead.
me where it's coming from.
That's from Colombia.
Basic sharing. Here it is. Technology's with us. You guys seeing my
Yes.
screen, my Logic audio right here? So in the cerecese for that song La Otra, here is the very traditional loop that we started with. Did you guys could hear it?
Yes.
Sort of cry at the.
Yes, exactly. So that's a funny
Yes.
thing when you pick this loop, you have also, because
The kids are there.
yeah, and they're
Everybody's
sometimes
around.
recorded out in somebody's home or in the street, and they're really really authentic and really interesting. Sometimes even better than what you could get into if you were to bring musicians into a studio, because it's the moment, it happened in the moment. So for example, here is what we then did with this groove applied to one of Sofia's vocal loop. Here it is. See, if I put the two together, and I'm going to bring down that percussion loop. So that is, for example, part of the process of things that we've done. But when it's not applied to vocals, we for sure at the first place have created, taken these loops into pure drum machine sounds. And for example, I'm going to play again that CDCC Origen loop, and this and some other percussions, even melodic percussion instruments like a sequencer playing some sort of marimba sound. See? To which sometimes, because we also are musicians and we love our instruments and we want to play them, in this particular case I played this guitar loop on top of that CDCC groove. Music is also, at least the music coming from our countries and from the Caribbean, Sofia from South America, we love bass. It's very much bass oriented. We had this kind of bass. Very synthetic kind of sound. Here is, for example, a few ideas of where we've come to with starting with the songs that Sofia wrote and the choice of the groove that we wanted to apply to the songs and all the ideas that derived from this groove.
And we're going to hear now one song from both of you, from Sofia and JC.
Comenzó en la mañana de hoy, sin saber. Percibió que el aire le era hostil. Que iba a explotar por dentro. Algo rondaba su corazón, algo decía que iba a explotar por dentro. Todo prejuicio y logró escapar. Recorrió 20 kilómetros a pie. Nadie miraba, nadie le hablaba, nada ayudaba, ni una sola respuesta. Pero sobrevivió. Y se encerró sola en su habitación. Releyó 30 cuadernos, practicó. No había palabra, no había consuelo, ni una llamada que le diera respuesta. No había consuelo, ni una llamada que le diera
next song is part of a project called The Hawk. This was an album I did as a tribute to one of my childhood heroes, Violeta Parra. She is considered the mother of Latin American folklore, and I admire her very much as a composer, as a woman, as an activist, as a poet. And I did this album as a celebration of her 100th anniversary from her birth. I recorded this album with Mark Ribot. We do not have Mark today, but I'm gonna try to do the song by myself. This one is called Corazón Maldito, which translates for cursed heart.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And I'm really excited to hear this next song. because it takes me back to my childhood and my teenage years. I think all of us, a lot of us. And I just love what you guys did with it. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how this song came about?
Yeah. So the Carnegie Hall was organizing a bit ago, at the beginning of this crazy time, this COVID time in New York, a fundraiser with several musicians to support Mount Sinai and the health workers. And they asked different people to put together music. And Jorge Guillem was participating, and he asked me to do a song with him. And I was thinking, what could we do? And it was very difficult to pick something because the lyrics were obviously important, and I didn't want to do the obvious, choices for, I don't know, the hopeful songs or, save the world type of thing. So I was really looking for something that would be inspiring. And then a student of mine was doing a cover of this song by the Cranberries, and it brought me back, boom. And I changed a bit of the lyrics at the end to be more, suited to the occasion. And Jorge Guillem, for those of you who might not know him, he's a brilliant musician from Venezuela. He plays this instrument, cuatro, that is key to the music of Venezuela and also Latin America in general. And he's a virtuosic player. And he's like, oh, let's do it as a Venezuelan joropo. And I'm like, okay, great. So record it, send it to me. And he did. And I struggled with it because this rhythm is crazy. And at the beginning, I was like trying to make sense of it. But we managed. It happened. It worked out. And here is Dreams by the Cranberries now in this acoustic version to take a break from all the pedals and electronics with the wonderful Jorge Guillem on cuatro as a Venezuelan joropo.
Totally amazing mind, so understanding
I love that song so much. You guys really take it to a different place, and I love how you make it your own and bring in also the folkloric elements, but it still feels like that's original song as well. So I thank you guys. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Kavita.
And, watching it, I was curious, did you have some memory of singing that song or listening to it when you were younger?
Yes, I remember when the song came out. I was
was
a
everywhere,
super
right?
fan of it. Was everywhere, and I memorized that record. I loved each and one of those songs, and I felt, I don't know, there was something so special about Dolores' voice. She had something very captivating in her way of singing and this breaking of her sound. And I don't know, I remember, learning all these songs, singing quite a lot. And I was a fan. So I forgot all about it for many years, again, until one of my students brought it back because her mother, this is how old we are now, you see. Her mother was like, "Oh, I love this song. You should sing it." This was very funny. Exactly. So for her, this is the most vintage thing ever. And for us, it's like, yeah, those are my teenage years. So
interesting.
Anyway.
You talked about the kind of breaking in her voice, because I remember you and I, who are both vocalists, we had a conversation once that stuck with me about vocal technique and how we can incorporate these different sounds in what we do. And something I really appreciate about your music and your what you've studied and applied in the voice is how to not sacrifice those maybe more folkloric, ethnic, I mean, I don't like these labels, I know you don't,
yes.
but these kind of different types of singing. It doesn't get sacrificed just to be under the umbrella of one type of jazz sound or modern sound. I'm curious about your process in that, if you have any thoughts to share.
Yes, I think, over the years I've done a lot of different kinds of music. I did classical music. I wanted to be an opera singer a long time ago. I was a mezzo-soprano de coloratura and an alto at the same time. And I struggled a lot actually with vocal technique. And what's interesting about vocal technique is, as in any other instruments, not inherent only to the voice, is, sometimes we forget that it should be at the service of our own imagination and what we hear. And maybe because I did over the years a lot of different styles or studied and practiced and researched and attempted to sing and understand different styles of music, all that starts to build into your own accent as a musician, your own DNA and your own way and your own approach. And it kind of makes sense that it just, comes in. I think what we have to do is try not to repress it in a way. Each of us, what we're looking for is whatever gets us closer to our most authentic selves. And in this view, we are basically trying to let go of these biases and these ideas of what we should be doing in terms of, this song needs to be in this and such style, so then I would not use this sound, or I would not use this chord, or I wouldn't use this rhythm because it's not pertinent. So I think a lot of our musical education prevented us from, made us a little bit slaves of these confinements and little style jails that hopefully, I think I've been working on getting rid of it for many years now. But I still have to fight it because there is just so much information that keeps you a little bit, inside the style jail, screaming from, scream for freedom, because, why we cannot, use a beat that has nothing to do with this other element from a completely different culture and bring a sound that's electronic with an acoustic sound, and bring an instrument that's from the Middle East together with a cuatro from Venezuela. And why can't you just use your voice and improvise in a way that's more folkloric in the context of a jazz standard or whatever is that, as I think if it represents you and it's saying something honest, I think that's when you know that it's okay to use it, more than thinking of the ideals of the style, right? But anyway, I think we're all looking for the same answers in that regard.
I like that idea of the just trying to be your most authentic self. That's above everything. That's above style. That's above technique. That's
first. I agree. Yes.
And I hear that in everything you're doing. So
thank you.
I can't wait to hear this album, Umbral. And we're going to hear one more song tonight, right, from Umbral. Yes. Can you tell us about that?
So this one is one that I wrote a few years back, and was part of a little song cycle called 5 Cynical Poems. It's actually much more fun in Spanish because it's 5 poemas cínicos. It has this wordy thing going on that's more fun. So 5 Cynical Poems doesn't sound as cool, but anyway, I don't know. I was just going through some cynical period. I think it lasted for too long.
Your cynical poems, Sofia, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I was writing about, one of them is called Helvetica 12, about this guy that wrote me an email using Helvetica 12 as a font, and I was so, bothered by it. We are not doing that one, but definitely one of them was this one called The Fifth Leg, and it talks about this person that has the ability to see the defect, the flaw, the hair out of place, the mark, all the wrong things about somebody else, and points at that. And so I wrote a song about it. And in Spanish, there's a saying that when you are very picky and you are, like you have that kind of eye, you are looking for the fifth leg in a cat. Estás buscando la quinta pata al gato. Paw, yes. Possibly paw. So that's why it's called La Quinta Pata.
La arruga, el lunes, el pelo, la imperfección, el descontento, la quinta pata, lo general, lo difícil, lo imposible, lo inaccesible, lo demente, lo inaccesible, tu tritono y tu diálogo, mi habla por cada rendija del espíritu. Lo bestial, lo gargalo, lo lento, lo torca, lo denso, lo opaco, lo amargo, lo bizarro, lo asfixiante, lo mezquino, lo engreído, lo obstinado, lo arrogante, lo disonante. Tu ausencia de humor me exaspera, caíste preso de las garras del aburrimiento. Tu ausencia de humor. Tu ausencia de humor. Tu tritono y tu diablo me hablan por cada rendija del espíritu. Tu tritono y tu diablo me hablan por cada rendija del espíritu. Me hablan por cada rendija del espíritu.
That was La Quinta Pata by Sofía Rei. And it's been a pleasure hearing your beautiful music tonight. So thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Sofia, for your music. When is Umbral going to come out? How can we hear the rest of this music?
So there are a couple of songs that are coming out of singles before September. And then my hope is that we will be able to release the full album sometime in the fall if everything allows, but it should be happening. So Kavita, thank you so much. You're wonderful, and I can't wait to get the next round of your music back in the series. And to everybody out there, thank you for joining us. And we're doing this every Thursday, 9 p.m., and there are wonderful musicians coming up next week. Pablo Aslan is our host and guest and artist, featured artist. So join us for that. And if you can help us spread the word about what we're doing, we have a podcast every week, and we have this series. If you could like this beautiful Facebook page, and just follow us. Also, we have a YouTube channel where you can rewatch the shows, and you can go back to previous concerts that happened in the series that started about 6 weeks ago. So thank you so much. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of the week. Gracias, Kavita. And
gracias a ustedes.
Hasta la próxima. Yay. So, I was thinking, in case somebody was wondering how this whole thing works, of showing you a little bit of my friends' toys. I'm going to start with Roberto, very important in my life. Roberto is my robot friend that's always present with my pedals. And the first one is actually this toy. That I use to power some effects like reverbs and delays, harmonizers, doubles, some slicers, different kinds of tuners, and then this beautiful thing that is my looper pedal that has 5 individual loops that I control, and I can do a lot of things with it and also apply specific effects, and the mixer that routes everything, and where I, as the name indicates, mix the sound, and all of that goes into this beautiful interface, and that goes into my computer where I record, well, in my case into Logic, but you can use anything. So, I don't know, just a brief explanation of what was happening today, and thank you so much for tuning in.